So a rather short and not very interesting video really, but what we're looking at here is some of the original fitments that the boat came with, and it's interesting to note that this hole here is not original to the boat, but this hole here is. This is the original European style 2-pin socket, unswitched. The boat would have originally had these. These are made by AVE, which is an Italian company. They cost a great deal of money. And they're very cheaply made actually. This is just all plastic brass effect. So the boat originally was built with all 2-pin European sockets. The first owner then obviously had these changed over to the 3-pin standard sockets, and I've come along and changed all of those for proper matte brushed stainless steel flush mount 3-pin sockets with switches. But there are a couple of these left still, and I'm going to be changing this one today. The reason why we're looking at this big void here and these holes is that this hole here has a coax lead, you can see, and this here is a power lead. This here that you're looking at, this funny cable here, is an FM aerial lead. And in here, if I bring this down, you also got a SCART cable with some of the AV cables on, and this here is all because of this remote here, which heads off to the other television, well, not the television, the Skybox. So the second owner decided when he had Sky fitted that he wanted Sky TV in every cabin. So he wanted not only to be able to watch Sky being fed down the pipes from this, but change the channel using a remote control in the cabin. And that required all of the running of all these extra cables and everything else by whatever boatyard did that at the time, and that would have cost an absolute fortune in labour. So I've then got rid of the old 14-inch CRT television, which would have been in this space here, and I'm going to replace it with a 32-inch flat panel smart TV. However, I can't fit a 32-inch TV in this space. So I wanted to be able to mount the television to a solid surface. So I've cheaped out. I'm not buying teak. I've just bought some pine. But I've done it in such a way that the sliding door that hides all of this up still operates. So if I or another owner down the road doesn't want to have their big 32-inch television up here, you can still just slide that off and it all looks nice and neat, and as would have been from the factory. And if you're not going to have a TV in here, you might want to repurpose this for storage. So hence why this is all very removable. But I don't equally want to just attach the fixing plate for the wall mount of the TV onto this, because it wouldn't clear this door. So the original teak base of what was bolted to the base of the 14-inch CRT television through these 4 bolt holes here, and then it's self-screwed down to keep everything in position. So basically the several kilogram weighted television didn't fly out of its hole in high seas. I've repurposed this, and so this here with these screws here, basically, if I can do this one-handed, is going to fit up there, and this is what the new television is going to be attached to, which will make mounting it and removing it and whatever much easier. But right now I'm replacing that European socket with a UK switch socket. So what I need to do is pull the front of this off, get it out and wire up the new socket. So that's basically the point of this little video. So this is what I've been doing, and that's the last bit to do, and hopefully either tomorrow or the next day the new television's arriving from Amazon. And also hopefully it's going to be a real tight fit between not sticking out too far here and not hitting here, because it tapers off here. So we're going to be into hoping that the measurements given by Amazon are actually the right measurements, because obviously it would look just frankly stupid if the television sticks out too much over that side, and it would also mean the door couldn't be open properly. So power is off. Let's get disconnecting the old socket. So just a quick update. This is the wiring on the boat. It's slightly different than UK wiring. Green is earth, red is live, white is neutral. But what is nice is they're all silicone coated, so they're very soft. They withstand heat very well without combusting, and they're completely tinned, not just the ends but their whole length, so there won't be any of the corrosion to copper that you find on lots of boats actually, where they sort of cheap out and use just standard copper flex. I can't remember what that's called, but you know, when it just starts to go green, and what it will actually do, it will eat away at the wires and it will eventually eat through. So in a damp environment on a boat, you really need to stick to proper tinned wiring, even though it's more expensive. So I've remembered to put the cable through the back of the box before wiring it up. I have done this before where I've wired stuff on boats, and it's all been done lovely, and then I've forgotten to put this through. So that's all basically good to go and be screwed up, and then I'm going to check my wiring with a socket tester, just to make sure I have indeed got it right and it's in phase correctly and everything else, and we'll make sure that the trip also works. And then I'll put it all back, and then that there will simply be there for powering the TV, and also for whatever else that someone down the road might ever want. There will be a normal 240-volt socket in here for the first time. So the socket is now fitted, and this here is the little tester. Really handy thing, as you can see. If you get two green LEDs, everything's correct. If you only get one on the left, you've got a missing earth. If you get a green and a red, you've got a live earth reverse. If you get a green on the left, one missing in the middle but a red on the right, you've got a live neutral reverse. And if you've got a green in the middle, you've got a missing neutral. You can also press the button and test your RCD. Now this sometimes can, there you are, two green lights. I'm not going to press this because I really can't be bothered to take panels off to reset my thing. So the main thing is the wiring is correct. Very cheap little single pole socket that from Amazon, £3 delivered next day. Little bit brittle side, so if you were screwing that onto like a rough wall and it wasn't completely flat and even, you might have an issue. The other weird thing is this here is actually solid brass, which is strange. It's quite heavy because all the other ones are plastic, just like painted, you know, sprayed brass effect. So that's done. I just used a handy dandy meter before I took the wires off and started touching them, just to confirm that indeed the ring main was isolated. So now all the tools can go back again, and I'll show you how it all works out. Hopefully this is going to be the stand over here. This here will obviously go on to like that sort of somehow. So it's not one of those sort of rotating ones, because I don't want that, and I think that would be the best idea on a boat, because if the television was allowed to sort of tilt and move and up and down, if things got rock and rolly, you don't want the telly sort of doing that all by itself. So yes, these could have been treated. I could have used a better wood. It's just got to support a television, and they're just literally held in place with a couple of little brackets. so everything's really easy to remove, and that's the main thing. So there we go. So we're now at the stern of the boat, and we're joined by the local geese population. And the reason why we're here is because there's an aerial socket here, but it's not a normal sort of coax. So I've got this handy dandy adapter to try. There we go. And now when I want to watch TV, I can plug an aerial in there, have the cable come out just like the mains cable, and then head off. I'm not really sure. Probably wouldn't even have to go very far at all. Might even just have a little indoor aerial tucked away in there. While we're in here, this is a mystery socket to me. 2-pin. I've never actually tested to see, but I presume that's going to be DC, hopefully. But yes, interesting that there would be power provided there. That's where you fill the water up from, and this here is, you can permanently connect a water hose to the boat on mains pressure, and it will bypass the pump, the water pump on the boat. Something I've always thought of doing and haven't quite got round to it, but I could well do that in the marina because we have our own water tap. And then I just have a mains fresh water supply. Really, I should get around to doing these things, considering how long I've owned the boat for now. So here we are at the stern of the boat. In my previous video I said about installing this little, or previous part of this video the other day. I'm doing this in several parts over several days. About installing this little adapter. So there I've got my indoor aerial. And what I was wondering, can the indoor aerial basically go in there like that and pick up any signal? So when I'm in the back cabin, I generally have it pointed just a bit like that. So I'll put that away, and then we'll go and see if we have any semblance of signal in the forward cabin. What did you just say to me?
I said, I just want to witness the failing of the Robin. That's what I'm here for. Go on then, I want to see it.
Right, so you saw I put the aerial in, and Sheila's wishing me no luck at all. So let's turn on the... okay, let's try it again. Let's turn on this. Good.
Oh, that's a puppy. And a mummy dog.
Country. It's obviously German made, because otherwise...
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what start. This doesn't look right. This is... it's trying to tune bloody analog, isn't it? Okay, so here's the situation. If I leave the aerial balanced on top of the door, I get 101 programs, 33 radio stations and 12 data streams, whatever that is. So I still don't know if that aerial lead is actually connected to the back of the boat. But I do know that an indoor aerial could work. Possibly even could work if I put it in the hole behind there. Like, it's all about the polarization. So telly works, that's the main thing. There's no dead pixels, it's not cracked, damaged, whatever. And from what I've heard so far, it ain't a bad TV. It's got a very good viewing angle. Some cheap TVs, you know, you've got to be right on. There's, if I turn the overhead lights off, try and just lock focus. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much backlight bleeding. There is a little bit. This is a £101 television though, you know, so you kind of got to expect menu to exit. Okay, that's it. Oh, now what's going on? Yeah, this is what's annoying me. It's all over the place, you know, like oh, here we go. See, like BBC One is on channel 23.
Where? Cool chat now. Oh, she's back. She's back. There we go.
Judy, now then you've been doing a bit of TikTok. We weren't going to do this.
So
but
yeah,
we have
there
got
isn't
time
any
this year, so your grandson has been putting you on TikTok,
bass on the
hasn't he?
speakers, but then that's fair enough because it's a very cheap TV. In other words,
This is the latest
I'm
one this year.
perfectly happy with the picture. I'm perfectly happy with the sound. I don't think that, you know, 150 quid Polaroid from Asda would be any
Well, I
better.
mean, we hopefully will see a lot more.
So, you know, just mute that off. For a boat telly that's hardly going to get watched, look, I mean, that's really clear. It feels well built. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. It's just going to have to be how we're going to get the signal into the back of the TV, and I'm just saying to Sheila about going down the smart TV adapter route, because then you don't need to worry about TV signal, you just stream it in through your Wi-Fi. So anyway, that concludes the video of taking out an old 14-inch CRT television and putting in a 32-inch HD television.